Renowned for his stunning visuals and storytelling brilliance, Frank Borin has crafted music videos for global icons like Zayn, 5 Seconds of Summer, Jack Harlow, Tyga, Bon Jovi, and Backstreet Boys. As co-owner and executive producer of Underwonder Content, Frank, alongside his creative partner and wife, Ivana, has built a production powerhouse that represents some of the most talented directors in the industry. In this exclusive interview, Frank takes us behind the curtain of his career journey, sharing everything from what inspired him to become a filmmaker.
Like in film school, I honestly didn't learn a single thing except how to load a camera. I basically became friends with like Roland Emmerich and the entire crew. Spike Jonze, Michael Bay, David Fincher, Mark Romanek, literally anyone that was doing music videos was there. That is really what film school is.
To how he navigates creative challenges and lessons he's learned from unexpected setbacks.
The biggest thing with music videos is the artists and the label's expectations are like ridiculously, not even high, just impossible. No matter what happens, just shoot. Find a way, find a solution to where you keep that camera rolling. Artists show up on set not knowing their own song. Hour into our shoot, the car with the stuntman, something happened with the brakes and it got into a big car accident. I've had artists show up 15, 16 hours later.
He'll also reveal his favorite filmmaking tools, insider tips on pitching projects, and the advice he has for aspiring and established filmmakers alike.
We get to see so many directors' treatments. I mean, everyone has a different style. Record labels go to our directors' Instagrams instead of their websites to kind of view their work. The most successful directors are going to be the directors that embrace AI as just as one of the many tools that they're going to use in their toolkit.
Whether you're a first-time director or a seasoned filmmaker, you won't want to miss Frank's invaluable insights into building a sustainable career and thriving in today's competitive film industry.
The trick is to put as much on screen as possible, and a good director knows the proper corners to cut. There's a tendency to copy the newest thing, but then by the time you're copying the newest thing, that's about to be dated.
Tune in as Frank inspires us to dream big, create boldly, and redefine what is possible in filmmaking. This episode is brought to you by MasterShot.
Hey, I'm Frank Borin. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with MasterShot.
What inspired you to become a filmmaker, and what were your career milestones?
From the moment I was a little kid, since I could remember 5, 6, 7 years old, I just loved movies and always knew I wanted to make movies. So I kind of intuitively knew I wanted to be a director without knowing what a director did or was. So I mean, my education from a little kid was just watching movies literally frame by frame, shot by shot, taking the home video camera and spending my weekends with friends, and we were just shooting movies. I mean, that's all we did. When I was like 10 or 11 years old, I kind of knew this is what I had to do and actually start making a living at it at 11. So, I mean, I kind of did whatever I could to be on set and get jobs when I was 11 years old. And they're like, one of the things, because my parents had nothing to do with the industry. My dad was an engineer, my mom was a flight attendant, so we didn't know anyone in the industry. So I became an actor by chance. My parents sent me to like this dancing, learning manners, cotillion thing. And in my first day there, they were casting for a movie called Marilyn Hotchkiss Ballroom and Dancing Charm School, which actually went on to become a big movie that we went to Sundance with and all of that. I randomly got casted in that and became friends with the director, and the entire cast, the entire crew kept in touch with the DP and all the producers. And I kind of like became an actor just to be on set and watch other directors work. But it was being on that set and kind of watching the DP, watching the director, that like I kind of knew, okay, this is the direction I want to go in and this is what I need to figure out how to do. So I just spent all my times just auditioning and getting casted in like a bunch of TV shows. I was in Quantum Leap, like there was a TV show which Propaganda was producing at the time called Salute Your Shorts on Nickelodeon. Tons of commercials, and I kind of dozens and dozens of things like throughout my whole childhood. So that was kind of like my film school, is like being on set. And then like on the flip side to that is when I wasn't acting, my parents would drop me off at Universal every day after school, probably from it was really young, like 10 or probably 11 years old. And I would just sneak on the back lot. And I was like a little kid. I probably looked like I was like 7 or 8. And I would literally just walk on the back lot. No one would stop me. And I would just make friends with all the directors and DPs that were shooting movies. I mean, I got to see like Home Alone 2, Jurassic Park. I mean, just so many movies being filmed on that back lot and TV shows. And that was literally 5, 6, 7 years of just hanging out and kind of just learning the craft.
When did you transition from an actor to a director?
So what transitioned me to becoming kind of a director full time, and I got kind of, I don't know if it was luck, it was part luck. I mean, everything is part luck, but it's also being at the right place at the right time, which is also just making opportunities for yourself. So I ended up after high school going to film school at Loyola Marymount. And, outside of like still, sneaking on sets, I remember they were filming Independence Day down at Loyola Marymount, like the bluffs down there, which was like the Howard Hughes hangar. And I remember like sneaking on set, and I knew like I got lucky and got a copy of the script even before it was being made. And so I knew like they were shooting Independence Day down there. So I basically became friends with like Roland Emmerich and the entire crew, and and Jeff Goldblum, and spent like 3 months there watching them shoot that movie. So it was that which led me to direct some music videos for like local bands. And so I ended up doing a music video for a band called Very Large Array, using kind of Loyola Marymount, their sound stages and equipment. And I kind of just created a music video that I knew would be amazing. It was like, I put so much like time and effort, and we spent 5 days shooting it. It was like a 3-minute music video. So that piece, got on TV, and it got passed around. Like at the time, it was like VHS tapes. So Propaganda Films and Satellite ended up getting it. And all my favorite directors were assigned to Satellite and Propaganda. I mean, they had, Spike Jonze, Michael Bay, David Fincher, Mark Romanek. I mean, like literally anyone that was doing music videos was there. So I remember getting a call early in the morning from the EP there and the director's rep, and like, hey, we saw your video. Like, can you come meet with us right now? And I kind of thought it was a joke, but I literally just hopped out of bed, got ready, and went down to Propaganda and Satellite, and kind of met with everyone there and got signed to Satellite Films. And like that was another kind of film school, because back then like there wasn't the internet, and there wasn't like people were still getting their music tracks for music videos on cassette tapes and everything. The treatments were being done by fax, and so all the directors there had offices. So like I would just go down there, and there would be David Fincher walking down the hall, and Mark Romanek and Spike Jonze. So like being just a little kid in college, I kind of just befriended everyone and went to their sets and picked their brains for knowledge, and that was kind of like my true film school of just watching those directors work. But it was kind of cool to see the other side of that, because my whole life I've been on sets and been on the biggest sets. But being at Propaganda, I got to see kind of how directors came up with ideas. And I remember like just Mark Romanek, like just tearing out all the references from like art books he would buy and putting them up on his walls all over his office, and kind of just seeing how directors and their assistants would come up with treatments and kind of that whole process, and helping like Spike Jonze do a music video, and kind of just learning the DIY methodology of his filmmaking versus Mark Romanek, who was just had every toy in the toolkit. So it was kind of, that was my true film school. Like in film school, I honestly didn't learn a single thing except how to load a camera. Everything else I kind of like just knew inherently by being on probably at that point hundreds of sets.
How did you build your career as a director?
Once I got signed up Propaganda and Satellite Films, I kind of just was a new director, and I was writing treatments and getting turned down. And then, eventually, you get a video here and a video there, and you kind of just build up your reel. I mean, my first videos were 3,000, 5,000, 11,000. And then I remember the first time I booked a big video, and it was for a hip hop group called Bone Thugs and Harmony, which were huge at the time. And that was just like a milestone for me. It wasn't like, the video was great and it turned out great, but it was one of those moments where you walked on your own set for the first time, and you just saw a dozen trucks everywhere, techno crane, and every piece of equipment that you could ever want was there, and the crew was like 50 or 60 people, and it was like that moment where it's like, oh, everything I've always wanted as a kid and everything I've been working towards is kind of like, this is the first moment I'm actually kind of seeing it come to fruition. Up to that point, it was all small crews and, run and gun, crew of like, 15, 20 people and, small trucks. But like, this was like wow. So yeah, 2-day shoot, and it's rolling with the punches too, artists being late or, just things kind of going out of your control. And luckily at that point, a lot of like new filmmakers, get thrown curveballs, and it's like, that's what the hardest thing to overcome. It's not executing, I think, your vision. It's the curveballs and learning how to kind of just go with it. And at that point, like luckily from being on sets and watching directors work and seeing the problems that they've encountered, even on a video like that and the videos that ensued after that, I was good at like going with the curveballs and rethinking new things on the spot. And so I got lucky I never felt stressed on set ever, because I kind of just learned how to deal with stress.
As a filmmaker, you know that every shooting day depends on precision and coherence. Every scene, every shot, every detail must align to bring your vision to life. That's where MasterShot comes in. Designed specifically for the pre-production and production stages, MasterShot empowers you to import scripts effortlessly and start building your vision from the ground up. Build a detailed shot list to ensure every angle and moment is planned to perfection. Keep references in one place for quick and easy access throughout the process. Plan dynamic, flexible schedules that adapt to the realities of set. Share projects with your crew to keep everyone aligned every step of the way. With MasterShot, you can avoid on-set mistakes by using digital schedules that captures every critical detail, minimizing risk and maximizing efficiency. MasterShot is your assistant, ensuring that every moment on set is dedicated to your craft. Start using MasterShot today. Try it free via the link in the video description. And now let's get back to our guest and the next question. You created one of the best music video production companies in the world, Underwonder Content. Can you tell us what inspired you to create this company?
So after like so many years of, at this point doing hundreds of music videos and commercials, my wife is a director as well, and she was an up and coming director. And so, kind of with any path that a director takes, she started off doing like $1,000 video, a $3,000 video. So what kind of happened naturally is at that point, no one wanted to make a $3,000 video. It's like, try to find a producer who really wants to do that. And it's no one wants to work for free. And to do a $3,000 video, you're doing it for free. We opened up a production company called Underwonder Content, which was, at first mainly just to service her jobs and, build up her reel and build up her directing career. And then what happened naturally is, she started working a lot and she was working nonstop. And then we have, just inherently, all our friends are directors and DPs and other people in the industry. Some were like directors, some people wanted to be directors. At that point, I was working so much and Ivana started working so much that we were getting these jobs that we were just turning down. So instead of turning them down, we're like, well, why don't we kind of get them and give them to friends? And whether we could give it to them and oversee it, or, I would say I would DP it, or, kind of say I would co-direct it, whatever it took to get friends jobs. So we started running these jobs for friends and kind of building up their directing careers. So we kind of like mentored a handful of directors. And so the company kind of it took us by surprise. It was like, 2 years after the fact, we're like, oh my God, we're working nonstop, shooting 4, 5, 6 projects a month. And like, we didn't even see this coming. It kind of just happened. And we kind of had a roster of directors without trying to get a roster of directors. And so kind of, Underwonder kind of just came up naturally. And for me personally, I don't want to speak for Ivana, who owns it with me. After directing for so many years, 20 something years, it's like, it was nice to change it up and mentor directors. You kind of like, no matter if you do something hundreds of times, you're gonna, you kind of just lose a little bit of that first time experience just inherently. But by seeing young directors that we were mentoring get their first jobs and get their first big jobs and win awards, it's like you kind of felt that excitement all over again.
How did you grow as a filmmaker, and would you change anything you did if you were starting over again today?
Like as a kid, I would spend days and days and days and weeks watching all my favorite movies, but like frame by frame, like literally with a Laserdisc machine or like the VHS player, just like frame advancing and going back and rewatching scenes. And then I would like take stills, like pictures from the TV screens, and then like create like storyboards and to see how they did all their shots and blocked all their movies. But the most important thing, and like this is what they don't teach you in college, and it's like kind of the art of blocking. And when you watch a movie frame by frame and kind of just pick things, shot by shot and recreate the storyboards from a movie, you kind of learn the dance between the camera and the actors and how it's a choreographed dance. And that's like my kind of own personal film school is where I learned a lot, was by doing that. I mean, the other thing that, I learned everything from was just watching other directors. What I tell people is like, how some people are obsessed with sports and like, stats and going to football or basketball games. I don't like sports, but my thing is being on set, and I could be on set for 12 hours just sitting there watching like the director, the DP, and everyone work together. Like, and seeing like the good things that happen and like the curveballs that, that happen and like the oh shit moments, like, just sitting back and watching that, you kind of learn everything. Like, that is really what film school is. Like, film school kind of teaches you theory, but theory only gives you so much. But by being on set and seeing people deal with problems, it's not even on set problems. It's the behind the scenes thing of like dealing with an actor that doesn't want to come out of their trailer, or the budget got cut and the director has to think of something to do that day or that week, and you lose a location, and how do you, re-jigsaw the whole schedule? Like, those are the real world problems that affect how good a film is. It's, in theory, they don't teach you that. And there's no way to learn that except by like witnessing it, in person. I mean, that's like another thing too, and I encourage all directors to do. It's like, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but is I would also shadow other directors. And what shadowing is, you basically ask a director's permission to basically be their shadow on like an episode of a TV show or a piece of a movie. And you kind of just sit literally next to them or behind them in their little director's, monitor area, and you just watch them. You watch them direct and ask questions, become friends with them. And if you become good enough friends with certain directors who are really open to the experience, I mean, I had directors invite me into the craziest, most stressful meetings that they would have with studio heads. And when I say studio heads, like the heads of the studio. And you'd be in there listening to the shit hit the fan. And that's the stuff that you don't read about, people don't talk about, and you experience, and like, that's priceless. And so, I pay it back that way. So if a director wants to come on one of my sets and watch me direct and, sit by me and help out and do whatever they want, like, I'm more than happy to do that, because so many directors did that for me, from like Dave Meyers. I mean, Dave Meyers is one of the biggest music video directors of all time. And I remember, like, I would sneak on Dave Meyers sets, while I was in college and after college all the time. And then at a certain point, he was just like inviting me to his sets. And I mean, I can't tell you how much I learned from watching Dave work. His mind, his theory of music video and how to create a music video is beyond, I think, anyone in our industry. I mean, he's the one director who has always stayed current since the late 90s and has never not been one of the top directors. And there's a reason for that. I mean, he is, a genius.
What are your top tips when you're writing a treatment for a music video?
So treatment writing process is sometimes the most fun and sometimes the most horrible experience. It kind of just depends. I mean, there's been times where I've come up, like, I heard the song right away and come up with an idea. And then there's other times where it's like the most favorite song you've ever heard and it just takes days, or you don't come up with an idea. And treatment writing has changed over the years. Like, when I first started off, when I was at like Satellite Propaganda Films, and I would see like, Spike Jonze's treatments and Mark Romanik's treatments, and they were so lucky at the time, because a treatment literally was just one page, typed out text, not even that dense, and then maybe 2 pages max. And then, they would just like cut out a few photos from like an art book and paste it on a piece of paper, and then you would just fax that into the record label. To me, I mean, that was kind of the most useful time, or the most useful time for a director, because you put all your time into thinking about the idea and just putting on paper really quick. Now, these days, it's kind of become this opposite thing where even though you have a great idea, you have to like put together this insane looking, perfectly graphic design treatment that just needs to wow you just by the way it looks and not by the content. The cool thing about being, an EP at like Underwonder is we get to see so many directors' treatments. And everyone has a different style. Some people barely write any text and put a lot of pictures. A lot of people just write tons of text. I think the most effective way from like the videos we award, and you'd be surprised, I mean, we do some big videos, and like some of the biggest videos that we do are mostly just pictures with just very few text. I've realized over the years that, a picture says 1,000 words. So, if you can just put handful of pictures on a page and just write a sentence or two, it's like a quick read for an artist. Because artists are so busy, they're on tour, they're doing press, they're recording an album, and if you think about it, they're probably getting, well, at least the commissioner is probably getting sometimes 30, 40 treatments. Just knowing how many treatments I have to read every day, there's no way a commissioner is gonna read through 30 or 40 treatments. So that's why I am a fan of keeping the pool small. So like with our directors, I find out what the pool is, and if the pool's too big, there's really no point in a director writing unless they can talk to the artist. But so say you have to read 10 treatments, it takes a long time. So they're gonna whittle that down to show the artist a few treatments. And the artist is just the first thing they do is they're just gonna look through the pages, whether it's printed out or it's online. And they're gonna see if the pictures grab them. And if the pictures do grab them, maybe they'll read it, maybe they won't. I mean, we've had treatments awarded, for our directors where the artist has shown up on set and never read the treatment, kind of just looked at pictures and said they wanted to do it. Because then it wastes time on set, because then the artist is, well, I didn't know I want to do that. Well, I don't want to do that, but I want to do this. And it's like, well, we're here on set already shooting, and you don't want to do the idea that everyone's been talking about. It's just, our industry has crazy moments like that. But going back to treatments. So, my thing is for directors, less is more. Like, convey the idea through pictures, minimal text, and just be really concise with the language, because no one wants to read too much.
How do you build your teams once you're starting a production? What are the first steps you are taking with the team?
The first thing you do is just hire your keys, and hopefully you can get, your crew, and hopefully they're available. The production designer, the DP, producer, like those are like the keys. And obviously you have your post team, editor and all that. So you try to get like just the key components together. America and like Europe has a different style of the way you crew up. I mean, I do prefer the European style, because I think it's much more intuitive in terms of a director comes on and like their assistant director and their DP is kind of with them on the whole show. You're collaborating with them, both of them, and your production designer, like the entire time leading up to the shoot, which you kind of like do on a TV show. But like, with music videos, and it definitely has to do with budget. You hire someone for the day. So it's like, you have your DP, talk to your DP a little bit, and production designer, but everyone is there on the tech scout, discusses everything, goes away and does their thing, and then you kind of like show up on the pre-light or the shoot, and that's that. But talking about like the American method, me as a director, so I'll like start collaborating with my DP, talking about ideas. Hopefully it's a DP that can bring something to the table and references and whatnot. My thing is I kind of put together, and I also direct with Yvonne and my wife, and we both have this method where this is where it's great. Two heads are better than one. She'll put together like a lookbook of everything we talked about in terms of what's the wardrobe going to look like, what's the look of the coloring and the lighting, and what's the the production design going to look like, what's the color palette for wardrobe, for production design, for lighting. So we put all that together in a document that we can like send to each department head, and then we get reference videos together, because it's really hard, especially when you're shooting a music video, even a commercial too, but things happen fast. It's really good for everyone to be on the same page of like what the look is, as opposed to just like talking about it. So we kind of create that Bible. And then, we start putting together storyboards. For me, we have some directors that, at Underwonder that don't do storyboards at all. We have some that kind of do storyboards, some do shot lists, some directors don't do shot lists at all. Everyone has their own method. I love doing storyboards because it does two things for me. Once I start storyboarding and I get tired of storyboarding, like it's just taking me too much time, I realize that I'm shooting too much for that shoot day. And it's like, okay, you know what, like I just gotta think of things more simply and more concise. But then once I put all the storyboards together, I can look at my schedule, and by now I know it's like, okay, this is impossible to shoot in a day, or it's like, okay, this is manageable, or this is gonna be easy. I like storyboards, and I like to get as detailed as possible with my storyboards, to the point where it's like, if I didn't show up on the shoot day, almost like Hitchcock, talked about, it's like, if I didn't show up on the shoot day, people still know what we have to shoot, what the angles are, what the actors are doing. On the shoot day, things get so hectic that everyone can just look up at the boards and kind of know, okay, this is the shot we're shooting. I know the camera has to be over here. I'm gonna match this. And there's less talking and more being, proactive with everyone kind of just working. Because on a music video, unlike, a TV show or where a movie's planned out so much ahead of time, Like sometimes when a video gets awarded, we have like 3 or 4 days. So it's kind of like the Wild West where you kind of just put things together and hopefully they work out. And when you have a good crew, it generally works out because everyone kind of knows that that's how it is.
Budget always seems to battle creativity. How do you balance these two?
So the biggest hurdle we're always up against, especially in the music video industry, is budgets. It's not even the video industry. It's commercials. It's movies. I mean, you hear James Gunn and all those guys talking about their movies, and there's never enough money, even though they have $200 million, because you're always pushing the limit of making something great. And if you're not pushing the limit of making something great, then you're probably not making something great because you want to put it all on screen. So there's a lot of different ways in music videos to deal with a budget. As a good director, can take the budget, and the trick is to put as much on screen as possible. And a good director knows the proper corners to cut in order to, literally make the most amazing canvas that you can on screen. It's a tough question because there's always a budget battle with, the record label. And the biggest thing with music videos is, the artists and the label's expectations are like ridiculously, not even high, just impossible. Like, they want to create, a $30 million movie and they have a $40,000 budget. And, a good music video commissioner will just tell the artist right away, it's like, well, you're not going to get this. So like, let's think, what we can really do for 40,000. Some commissioners don't bother to tell the artist this. So the artist gets upset when they're getting treatments because nothing is what they want. But any director knows that you're not going to get a Steven Spielberg $200 million movie for 40,000. The biggest thing is to be realistic too with record labels, and it's a fine balance because you also want to get the job. People are outbidding each other. So that's where director Jensen, he's probably the best at it. He really is, because you watch his videos and anyone watches his videos and they think every video he does is $1 million. The reason why Jensen can make a video look like $1 million when it's not $1 million is because he knows, okay, these are the strengths, this is the budget, I can put this on screen, I don't need to see this, I don't need to build this set, I can just build a small portion of the set and then extend it in post or shoot it with a longer lens, or however, he has this innate way to know exactly what he's gonna see and just cuts out all the other stuff. Where other directors don't know exactly what they want, so they need this huge canvas, which costs a lot of money to build, and then they just play on that canvas. Which there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone has their different method. It's in the world of music videos, you don't always have that, especially anymore.
Do you have any tips for filmmakers on how to make a production go smoothly?
So there's a lot of tips on how to make productions go smooth. And what I've learned is there's 2 ways. There's it's a lot of prep is the first one. Like prep. You're organized, and all your crew knows exactly what they're doing and they know what your vision is. And that's why we do, lookbooks for all the crew members. Every possible scenario is worked out of what could happen, that what could go wrong. And you work out your A, B's, and C's all before that. Then, the shoot is gonna go smooth for the crew at least. Then there's the other part, which is client, record label, agency, artist. That you have no control over in a way, because no matter how much you prep, it's dealing with personalities that are gonna throw curveballs your way. Or I've had artists show up on set not knowing their own song because they recorded it 9 months ago and somehow there was a miscommunication on what song they were doing or whatever. They didn't know how they have to sing the song, and you're just sitting there like, okay, so you're spending hours of downtime while the artist learns their own song. Like, these are the things that come up that no matter how much prep you do, there's just nothing you can do. So at that point, you just have to be ready to improvise. You just need to be like, okay, cool, well, we just lost 2 or 3 hours here, or the artist doesn't want to do that. Okay, cool, let's do this instead. It's the directors that, and I've seen a lot of directors, that we bring up freeze up and not know what to do, and they're scattered, throws them off their game. And that's where directors kind of everything just falls apart and the shoot goes to shit. So it's really just a director, like, and if a director's prepared enough and knows the contingencies, they're not gonna get scattered when they're thrown that curveball and they don't know what to do. There was a time where, and this is the biggest curveball, like it was the one curveball I've had in my life where I didn't know what to do, and I've been on a lot of sets, and up until this point, seen a lot of things go sideways, but it's like, it's like there's always a solution. Where we were shooting this Eminem, music video with Obi Trice, and the whole video surrounded this car. It was like took place at the DMV, and the star really was this car that, this lowrider car. And we were shooting, hour into our shoot, the car with the stuntman, something happened with the brakes, and it got into a big car accident. Like, the car was completely ruined, smashed. I mean, people, some of the people had to go to the hospital, and and that was that moment where, as a director, I'm like, I didn't know what to do. Like, people are hurt. Do we stop the shoot? Okay, outside of people, some people being hurt, the car's demolished. Like, the shoot's over. Like I really didn't know what to do. And luckily, the producer on that was a very seasoned producer who I learned a big lesson from. And it was even a situation like that, make sure everyone is safe, make sure that people, taken to the hospital. It's like, okay, the crew's still here. We have to shoot something. Come up with a new idea right now on the spot. So the whole video then surrounded this car being in a car accident, and we kind of like pivoted, and even though the car couldn't drive, all took place around this like car accident now, and we put some green screen behind the windows really quick and shot some driving shots, and like kind of like with the guidance of that producer was really helpful to kind of like make the shoot kind of happen. Because everything was worked out to the point where everyone was fine, and we were able to shoot, and we salvaged the video, and the video turned out great too. So like that was like one of those situations where the first and really only time I understand how a director would feel scattered and not know what to do. But luckily, I had a great producer, and that's why with our directors at Underwonder, it's like we're here to be mentors in situations like that where things do fall apart. It's like, okay, cool, don't worry about it. We're gonna figure it out, and we'll even make it better. And that's kind of like our philosophy and what we try to instill and teach our directors, because these are the things that they don't teach you in film school.
Can you tell us about times where things didn't go as planned on a production? How did you overcome these obstacles?
So one of the biggest lessons I learned is actually from one of my favorite directors in TV, this director named John Cassar, who, we were on the TV show 24, and he taught me this lesson, and that is, like, no matter what happens, just shoot. Keep shooting, like, if it's raining and there's a hurricane and whatever, and, you're supposed to be shooting during a sunny day, doesn't matter, just shoot. And it's true, it's like, no matter what happens, find a way, find a solution to where you keep that camera rolling. So many situations, and I'm sure, you'll find hundreds of directors that will say this, but like we've had artists, especially on videos I've directed, that show up 2 hours late, 5 hours late. I've had artists show up 15, 16 hours late. And you kind of like, in the interim, if they're not there, you find something to shoot. So it's like, what cast do we have? What extras do we have? I remember there was one of our favorite shoots that we did. The artist just couldn't show up, or there was a situation where the artist didn't make it to set and couldn't make it to set, and the whole video, every shot was planned around this artist. So it's like, okay, we kind of regrouped, and this was like the night before the shoot, and we figured out how to shoot the entire video without the artist being there. And it's we grabbed like an actor, and we kind of did some things here and there. And I mean, the shoot still turned out amazing, but like the philosophy was, and the whole label was like, well, let's cancel the shoot. I'm like, well, we've already paid for all the crew to be there. Like, no matter what, like, we have a camera, we have everything in place except for the artist. And we shot it, and the artist loved it. The label loved it. I mean, as the artist's one of his favorite videos ended up being one of our favorite videos too. So it's like situations like that where, luckily that went great. There's other times where, the artist, even though like they're 14, 15 hours late, it's like after an hour you run out of stuff to shoot, and at that point, I would tell the director, well, all right, should we shoot a spec commercial? Is there a can of Coke or Budweiser around, and let's shoot something? I mean, that's the thing. It's like you just got to make the best situation out of kind of whatever you're given. So there was another shoot where I was shooting one of my favorite bands of all time. At that point, I was young. There was a band called I'm a Robot, and it was like one of my favorite ideas, and like it wasn't that big of a budget. And then we were shooting, and we still had like it was like late at night, it was like midnight, and the camera broke. And this is when we were like shooting film. We were screwed. Like the camera just wasn't working. And we were shooting on like a proper, like nice camera, like, you know, like beautiful lenses. Like I think it might've been a Panavision camera. It was something where just everyone was trying to figure out how to get this camera to work because we still had 3 hours to shoot. And it was like the pivotal part of the video. And at that point I was like a younger director. And so I was just devastated. So we found, like, I think it was like a grip who had an old Bolex camera in his garage at his mom's house, and his mom happened to live somewhere nearby. So we went to his mom's house, rummaged through his garage, and found this old Bolex, and we just put the film in the Bolex, crossed our fingers that it worked, and we shot, you know, the last 3 hours of the video on this Bolex. And to be honest, like, you can't really tell that, like, once colored, you can't even tell the difference between like the really good cameras and lenses and like the Bolex camera. And just that quick thinking on, all right, let's find a camera and shooting no matter what, you know, save the video.
How do you navigate the business side of the industry while looking for work as a creative?
When I started out, I was beholden to production companies because you needed someone to finance getting your reels out, because reels had to be duplicated, they were expensive, put them on 3/4 tape and send them around to all the different record labels. Things have changed, become much easier with internet, Instagram. I mean, the biggest, I think, showcasing thing, it's almost like everyone's websites now. It's like, you know, we have everyone, like record labels go to our directors' Instagrams instead of their websites to kind of view their work. The biggest thing, and this is the best advice I can give to a director getting a job, and you know, a lot of directors are in competition with each other and, you know, get bummed out that, oh, this director got this job when I should have got it, you know. And like my advice that I've told all our directors, and it's something that the earlier you learn this lesson, the more successful you're gonna be. And that is, you're gonna get a lot of your jobs from other directors. It's becoming friends with directors and creating a directors group where everyone helps each other, everyone props each other up and lifts each other and recommends them for a job. And it's like, you know, there's a reason why like Spielberg and Coppola and Scorsese and all these guys are friends. And the reason why they're successful is because they've helped each other out on their shoots. You know, we've had directors come out and shoot second unit on each other's shoots. I know like Spike Jonze would shoot with Mark Romanek, like, and it's friends helping each other out that gets you the most work. Like that, like hands down. And maybe it's good karma. You help another director out, something will come your way. I don't know what it is, but generally like over 50% of your work is gonna come from people recommending you, and it's usually other directors, ironically. The other thing is becoming friends with the artists. You know, in the case of like music videos, you know, if you're friends with an artist, you know, hit them up on Instagram and become friends with them. Because, you know, if you generally are hitting up an artist, it's because you like them, you like their music. So it's really good it's easy to create like a friendship with the artist, you know, with like, there's a mutual appreciation. And, you know, friends want to work with friends. At the end of the day, my philosophy is we're doing this because it's fun and we get to create something cool with friends. And if you become friends with the artist, they're going to recommend you for everything. The more artists, the more shows you go to, you become friends with more artists. Artists recommend directors to other artists, and then that kind of slowly builds you up over time. I mean, it's an industry where really it's everyone you know, whether it's getting a movie, getting a commercial, you know, it's knowing someone from the agency, knowing a commissioner. It's becoming friends with people, and hopefully, you know, those are real friendships, because those are the ones that last, and those are the ones you're gonna get a lot of work from.
What are your thoughts on AI and how it'll affect the industry?
So there's a lot of talk about AI and everything going on, and to me, AI is just another tool in the toolkit. Every 10, 15 years, there's like a revolution of digital this and TV's coming out and all this stuff. If you notice throughout history, everyone complains, oh my God, TV is gonna like take movies away and cable is gonna take, you know, this away, and everything is a tool for a director to use. So the most successful directors are gonna be the directors that embrace AI as just as one of the many tools that they're gonna use in their toolkit. And sure, you know, will it change the dynamic of how much is physically shot versus, you know, how much is done in post? Well, yeah, I mean, dynamics are always changing. But, you know, so if, you know, we lose some of the jobs in like production, there's gonna be a lot of jobs created in the post end, because a director is still gonna need to direct and come up with a vision. That director is gonna need a team to program and work with AI, work with VFX artists. You're gonna need a team for lighting still. I mean, you're gonna need all these people. It's just gonna shift into a little bit more of a different kind of medium. I mean, back in the day before digital effects, you know, the post groups were small. Now, I think there's probably more people in post. If you look at movie credits, the effects credits are sometimes the longest out of all the credits. So, just jobs are gonna shift. But I think directors definitely need to know AI, because it's, the more a director knows about cameras and lenses and editing, the more successful they're gonna be. I mean, my personal thing is, as a director, I want to know everyone's job better or as good as the top person around me. Because once I know that, then the people that I bring on are definitely going to be better, and I'm going to learn from them, and it's just going to make each project I do better.
What advice would you give to filmmakers starting today?
My best advice to a director starting out today is to create a piece of work, whatever it may be, that is gonna get attention. Take a chance, do something that isn't seen. And as a new director, I mean, obviously it's inherent that you're gonna study other directors and you're gonna copy other directors and you're gonna steal or borrow from other directors. And it happens to every director, because we all borrow and steal and copy when we're younger. And then one day you'll realize, like, oh, I'm gonna stop looking at certain music videos and certain movies and all that, because it's like a sponge. Everything is now inside of you. And then kind of your personality comes out as a filmmaker, because you've been influenced by all this stuff, but then you've kind of changed it and molded it, and now the output of you is something completely different. So as a new filmmaker, it's like, take, beg, borrow, and steal, but create your own vision. When we're signing, new directors, we get tons of reels, and, and I love the reels that we get from new filmmakers and, that are in college, and obviously they're still trying to figure their thing out. But the thing that cuts through all the noise is something that we've never seen before. There's a tendency to copy the newest thing, but then by the time you're copying the newest thing, that's about to be dated. So it's like, okay, know the newest thing out there, have the background in art and photography and everything. What's that next thing? Like, get ahead of the curve.
What about filmmakers who are seasoned but haven't yet been able to break through?
And for directors who are stuck in this middle ground, and it's probably like most directors in the world are stuck in this middle ground of like, they're like slowly going up slope, but they're always, some are always gonna stay in this kind of mid-range level. But the directors that are gonna come up out of that are the directors that just, take chances. And it's hard to take chances because, when you are pitching things to a label and an ad agency and whatnot, the tendency is everyone's scared about their jobs and they say they want to do something different and push the boundaries, but 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, to be honest, they really don't, because everyone is cautious because of money involved and people being mad. As a director, it's like who gives a shit? You have a voice and don't care about what anyone says about that voice, and keep pushing your voice, even though it might be too risque or might just be different or whatever it is. But eventually, people will embrace that voice and want to hire that voice because you're the only person, that has that voice. Which brings me to my next point, and the directors that are the biggest in the industry right now and in years past are directors who have created a brand. And what I mean by that is Mark Romanek, Spike Jonze. What do all these directors have in common? Because their styles are all vastly different, but the thing that they have in common is you cannot get a Spike Jonze video from anyone other than Spike Jonze. You gotta create a strong brand that people might try to copy, but no matter what, the best copy of your own work is not as good as what you do. And then also too, once you've established yourself as having a voice that no one else has, you gotta constantly be evolving that voice, because eventually that voice will get dated. So it's like, how do you keep evolving it and becoming and staying the freshest and the newest and the coolest and the best director? And I mean, again, if you go back to Dave Meyers, he's always been able to evolve his vision. I mean, Dave Meyers has always stayed Dave Meyers as a director, but he's grown and he's always ahead of the curve as doing something new and fresh and having great ideas. And then it always all comes down to the idea. Spike Jonze, Mark Romanek, they all had original ideas as well as original vision and a personality to their work. So if you want to be the top of the top, like that's what a director needs to do. Not be afraid, have a distinct style that no one else has.
In your opinion, where is the film industry headed in the next 5 years?
everyone is at this kind of juncture in the film industry where no one knows what's going on. Everything's kind of been diluted with just so much content. And like everyone, with streaming, everyone is just trying to throw so much money and so many different shows at streaming that like people stopped going to the movies. And obviously we had COVID. Who knows where things are gonna go and where people are gonna watch something in 5 years from now. I mean, will people be watching things in goggles? Will people be watching things in holograms in 15 years, like in Minority Report? We don't know, but at the end of the day, people are always gonna wanna be entertained. People are always gonna wanna be moved, whether it's through an emotional story or through just visuals they've never seen. I mean, it's part of human nature to be entertained. And the film industry, whether it's film, celluloid, I mean, the entertainment industry, whatever you want to call it, is not going to go anywhere unless humans just completely vanish from this earth. There's always going to be a need for directors. Because directors are, the leaders, the visionaries that create these stories. And I know, of course, people are afraid of AI and all that, but AI is just a regurgitation of what's already out there. But it's us as humans, us as directors, us as creators that create. The good directors create something that you've never seen before, nothing that AI could ever do, because it's not creating anything new. So there's always going to be a need for visionaries. Even today, there's still directors that are popping up, new young directors that are like, holy shit, where did that come from? Like, wow, like that's just so weird or new or different or fresh, and you're always going to have that.
Can you take us through your favorite projects, storyboards, or shot list?
So I'm going to take you through the storyboards from some of like the commercials and music videos that I've shot, and some of them are with my wife Ivana, who also directed. So the first one I'll take you through is we did a music video for Zayn and Rehab called Flames, which is one of our favorite all-time videos. It might even be my actual all-time favorite video. I think it is. I mean, because that was to Ivana and I. When you go into something and you shoot it and it's like, oh, it came out great, or it almost came out amazing, but almost. Where to us, that Zayn video is frame by frame perfect for us as directors. Like what we saw is exactly to the frame what we intended to shoot. I don't think that's ever happened in our entire careers. There's always a curveball, there's always something, there's always something that, I don't like that shot, or I don't like something. So the shot, I'll take you through a few scenes, but as I said, we storyboard everything. Whether we shoot that or not, we determine that on the day, because you are thrown curveballs or you might find a better shot. But we generally like to stick to the storyboards because it just makes everything move faster. So like we storyboarded, even though it's one shot, the opening shot of the video, which was actually, there was a little blessing in disguise. So when we were doing the tech scout, we just brought a cheap drone, and we just kind of just brought the camera up to see if it would be a good shot or not, which happened to be an amazing shot. And it's the shot that eventually in the video, which is not CG, it's a real location where the drone is actually just slowly coming down for like 20 seconds, hitting the main character in the video. And you'll see birds fly through. So those birds are real, but we saw that it happened on our tech scout with the cheap, DJI camera. And then on the shoot, obviously there was no birds. So we actually took footage, pieces from the DJI footage, and took those birds out and comped them into the actual final shot of the video. But yeah, so that final shot, is storyboarded in, what you're probably seeing on screen now. And then the whole opening sequence, if you go through the storyboards, from when he's performing on the stairs, we kind of took what we did, we saw on set, and we kind of just, after the location scout, kind of created our own little mock-up of that and just put the camera, we roamed around and found the shots that would tell the best story for that. But yeah, that whole Zayn video, as you can see, was, we had like 80 extras dancing on the side of this abandoned building, super dangerous to shoot in. There's so many logistics that could have gone wrong, and it was one of our smoothest shoots ever. And it was because we storyboarded it and we planned that out, and we shot that in Ukraine. And that's what I love about shooting in Ukraine. And when I was talking about shooting in Europe is different than in America, where your entire crew is kind of with you side by side everywhere you are for like the week or 2 weeks before a shoot, as opposed to just the tech scout and the shoot. So when you're shooting in Ukraine, by the time you get to that shoot day, everything is so thought out with every crew member that is present the whole time that it really is what was the most complicated shoot we've ever done, one of the smoothest.
Let us take you behind the frame. The scene for the project featured in the video, Flames by Rehab and Zayn and Jungle Boy, along with other projects that will appear from upcoming guests, are already available in the project example sections of MasterShot. Explore the projects, the detailed shot list with storyboards to see how it all came together and get inspired for your own projects. Check it out on MasterShot today.
So another one that we storyboarded that was really important to storyboard, and for this reason, it was just full of tons of visual effects. It was the Raid Shadow Legends commercial that we directed with Jeff Goldblum. It was basically Jeff performing in a CG world with CG characters. So Yvonne and I storyboarded the whole thing just because we needed to show Jeff exactly who he was interacting with, where he was looking, but also for us, we wanted to get the pacing of the commercial. And when we do storyboards, we can visualize commercial second by second, and the VFX team can visualize it second by second. So in that case, we had no choice but to storyboard it. But again, it was one of those situations where, we were done early shooting because everything was storyboarded, and we just boom, boom, boom. Everyone knew how to pop off the shots really quick, and it's like, all right, well, I guess we have nothing else to shoot, and we wrapped early. Another, again, video we storyboarded, we storyboard all our videos, is the 5 Seconds of Summer older video. And when Yvonne and I went in to direct that, like all our videos, we're not the type of directors that will shoot a bunch of stuff and then just figure out where to put it in post. And, a video like that, you could have rearranged things. It's very important, especially with a video like that, the emotional impact. It was the whole premise of the video is, a nuclear explosion is going off. And instead of everyone panicking and freaking out, it's everyone spending the last, 1 minute or 5 minutes of their lives together. So we wanted, a build of what was gonna happen exactly where in the video. So that's something where we just storyboarded out every single shot. It was a very quick shoot. There's like 40 or 50 scenes in that video that we had to shoot in 2 days. So we just wanted to make sure that the crew knew exactly what we had to shoot and move fast. And that was another shoot where it was tons of different locations, but we shot it and we finished early just because everyone was so prepared. And again, shooting storyboards makes everyone very prepared and on the same page where we move fast. And like certain scenes, like, there's a scene where we storyboard with the kids, and me, when I was a child actor, it was really helpful for directors to sell a world to a child's eye. So because a kid has trouble imagination what filmmaking is. So like the storyboards, like the kids could see exactly what they were doing and were really excited about it. And, so like things like that could have taken a while to shoot, we were able to shoot fast as well.
Okay, time for some fun questions. Tell us your top 3 music videos ever.
Top 3 music videos. That's like an impossible question. I would have to, and I feel I'm on the spot, but okay, I'm gonna lump 2 videos together, directed by the same director because they have the same kind of emotional impact for me, and that is 9 Inch Nails Closer and 9 Inch Nails Perfect Drug, directed by Mark Romanek. Both of those videos, Mark's so good at doing what no one else, I think, can touch what he does, and he creates worlds. And not only does he create worlds with just pure artistic photographic imagery, but he's able to tie those images together to create a story, not a narrative, but a story where it makes you feel something. Each person that watches one of his videos, especially his earlier videos, walks away with something different from those videos. And to be honest, each image is just one of the most beautiful images you've ever seen. And the fact that he's able to do that time and time again, and especially with those videos, at the time, and even now, you've never seen anything like either one of those videos. So I would say that was one favorite video. Again, another favorite director, and there's so many like Spike Jonze. He has so many good videos, from Sabotage to Weezer to Weapon of Choice, Fatboy Slim. I don't even know where to start. I would just go with Sabotage or Weapon of Choice. I think I'll go with Weapon of Choice because that was just, at that time, seeing Christopher Walken just dance through the Bonaventure Hotel. It was absurd, it was surreal, it was magical, it was beautiful, it was touching. It just worked on so many levels, seeing, this frail Christopher Walken just kind of sprout like a flower and then just dance all over the place. And then it became magical the way where Spike took it. So that would be another one. Another video, I think, and this is technically, you know what? Screw it. It would be a band called Air, and this is an obscure video. Air, and the song is called I forget the name of the Air song, but I can look it up. But it was about a young couple, and it was filmed, with just like lo-fi camera. It was basically a beautiful narrative of this couple in love, and I think it was like a real boyfriend and girlfriend that just call it their relationship in high school blossom. And it just made you cry by the end. Not cry because it was sad, but cry because it was just beautiful. It was like pure, unadulterated, raw, emotional, youthful love. And he was able to capture that in a music video. And I've never seen that and had that emotional reaction from a video ever.
What about your top 3 films?
So number 1 would be Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Just because I think, to me, it's the best movie in the series, because it was just pure Indiana Jones. It was the relationship between him and his dad. It worked on so many levels. I mean, that was probably the movie I've watched most frame by frame. And I learned so much about blocking just by watching that movie. And I can never get tired of watching that movie. The other movie would be Goonies. I think it's just the best kids movie ever made, and it didn't shy away from kids being kids, really. I mean, obviously it comes from Spielberg. The story was just like pure Spielberg, magical kids having fun. The kids cussed in the movie. I mean, it was just like 11-year-old kids being 11-year-old kids, and it was just the most fun adventure, and it was just directed so well. The performances, I mean, I think it's the best performances I've seen by kids in an ensemble, I think, ever. Hats off to like Richard Donner, but I'm sure, Spielberg definitely had a big hand in it. And I know he directed a few scenes from it. And ironically, some of those scenes that he directed in it were some of my favorites, and I didn't know about that until after. And I'm like, oh shit, makes sense now. And then Back to the Future or Aliens. It's like, those are 2 vastly different movies, but 2 movies that I think story-wise are perfect. Back to the Future, because that's such a hard movie to pull off with time travel and all the plot holes, and I mean, it could have just fallen apart easy, but like Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale made that so tight. But then Aliens is a perfect movie. It really is like a full-on amazing action movie with great characters that's something you don't see often anymore, and you got to know those characters really fast, really concisely, and you actually cared about the characters when they died, because everyone loves something or hated something about each of those characters, and only James Cameron is great at writing characters into action without having to like stop an action movie and kind of hear people talk. Like he's just so good at integrating action and character development. Okay, that's 4 movies. Sue me.
Are there any podcasts or books that you would recommend?
To be honest, I don't watch any podcasts on filmmaking, because I think there's just a lot of like just junk and people talking about things that they think they know the most about and they really don't. So I don't really watch podcasts for that reason. There's one book, it's called The Screenwriter's Bible, that actually I do love, and I don't read any books on filmmaking, but that's the one book I just realized, like once you asked me that question, I just realized I read once every time I'm about to start writing a script, just as like a refresher on like all those things that you already know, but you just kind of want a refresher on. So I read that, and then I'm able to just go into writing a script right after that. My biggest thing to watch is just the commentary on movies. So like, I miss DVDs and Laserdisc for that, because you could just hear the director and crew members talking about movies. I don't know if they still have that, but like when I was a kid, I would just not watch the movie, or obviously I've already seen the movie, but I would just hear the directors talking throughout the whole movie. And then you just learn a lot about like the making of a movie from hearing crew members talk.
As a filmmaker, director, and producer, what are your goals for the next 5 years?
I mean, personally, for me as a director and as a producer, I mean, we want to take, as a company, Underwonder, to I love what Steve Golan did with propaganda films. And what he did is he created this environment. And I hope this is still possible, where all the directors were kind of together. It started off making music videos, then they killed the commercial game, then they went into TV, then they went into movies. But he created a family, and it was a big family. It was, all these directors that would hang out and share ideas. They would create things together, low budget things, high budget things. So, I want to be able, for Yvonne and I to take Underwonder and create a family of filmmakers where we can, I really just, this is the geek part of me. How someone's into sports players, I love directors. Like, I love, no matter if it's a new director, being on set with that director. It's a seasoned director. I love being on set. So maybe it's like a selfish thing, but I just want to be surrounded by directors where I get to talk nerdy talk with and hang out with on set. And to be, I mean, just imagine being on set every day doing a movie with a bunch of your friends and directors, and I mean, that's all I want to do is just hang out and have fun. That's what I want to do. I want Underwonder to be so busy where I'm just going from set to set, hang out every day, eating catering, telling jokes with my, with our directors. And then as a director, I want to be able to do what my directors are doing, and that is, be on set with the people I love, my producers, my crew, and shooting stuff and shooting things that, are just like kind of personal to me, that excite me. So like the plan, like as a director is, hopefully Yvonne and I are attached to a movie and that happens, and we're doing a movie pretty soon, and that movie leads to multiple movies, and then we get so busy as directors that we're able to finance movies for our other directors. I mean, Spielberg is the luckiest guy in the world, not because he's just the biggest director. He was able, you look at the biggest directors around today, like Robert Zemeckis, Joe Dante, the movies he's created from Goonies to all of that. Like Spielberg is the epicenter of being the ultimate mentor by giving chances to directors and by mentoring them in the right way, where they've all become directors just as big as Spielberg himself. And if I can do that and have my directors become just as big as me and bigger, God, that would be like, that's a dream come true.
Stay tuned. We've got more amazing guests coming your way. Top filmmakers will be sharing their stories, insights, and expert tips to help you elevate your craft. Follow us for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes moments that will inspire and take your filmmaking to the next level. Don't miss out. Subscribe to our channel today.